A lot of content creators have been blabbering on about Starfield vs Star Citizen, including this very channel, and loads of people have been shouting hogwash at those videos, saying you can't compare a bleeding apple to an orange because the games are totally different. But now that we got more info on Starfield than when it was first shown a year back, let's have another look at that question and show why comparing the two is more than a valid response. And Reggie still stands by his original notion from a year back, which is Starfield totally exposed Star Citizen on many different levels, and the latest Starfield trailer just goes to unmask further the frailties that Star Citizen currently has. So sit your ass down, grab a cup of tea and some popcorn, and let's have a mass debate. A trivia question for you all. What game does this describe? It's a wild universe out there. Pirates roam the space lanes and violent outlaws run the darkest corners of the system. How do you deal with the danger is up to you. Stay safe in the regulated sectors, arm up and tackle threats head on, or turn to the perilous life of crime and get your cut of the action. Now, if you said Starfield, you would be wrong. This was in fact Star Citizen, pulled directly from their website, using their own big boy words to describe what it is that you do. So how about this next paragraph? Pilot and command the ship of your dreams, personalise the look of your ship, modify critical systems including weapons and shields, and assign crew members to provide unique bonuses. In deep space you'll engage in high stake dogfights, encounter random missions, dock at star stations, and even board and commandeer enemy ships. Well, this bad boy was indeed Starfield, again pulled straight from their website. And here's the thing, me old muckers, just because the tech is completely different, the ultimate goal, you know, what it is that you as a player will actually experience when either of these games is finished, is, believe it or not, quite similar. Even though one's an online universe and the other is just on a disc, the idea that in both games you can customise your ship, tinker with systems, get into proper intense dogfights, explore the dodgiest bits of a system, or take on major threats head on, simply proves in their own words how the games overlap in mechanics, and that right there is a problem for Star Citizen. And no one in their right mind would tell you that Star Citizen ain't a massive project, and no one would ever say that its ambition on paper is pointless, or that we shouldn't strive for it in the industry. Even if you have a strong hatred for the project, even if you despise everything it stands for, if I could magically take you to a moment in time and show you a fully completed Star Citizen fulfilling all its promises, you'd bite my bloody hand off. Why, you ask? Because on paper, it's a proper grand space sim that, if it ever became a reality, would be an absolutely incredible experience. The problem is, time ain't something that Star Citizen can keep wasting. When Star Citizen first blew us away 6-7 years ago with its realistic atmospheric flight re-entry, the whole world was in awe. It was something so foreign to us that somehow these buggers had gone and achieved the impossible, creating a truly amazing space world to explore. But just like Prince William's head of hair, time hasn't been kind. The technology has moved on so much that now we have one-man bands making games like Spaceborne 2 with all their rough edges and jank, but still showing us what is possible with limited resources. And with AI on the rise, these smaller indie developers are only going to get better at creating more impressive games. And what about a studio like Bethesda, with all their might thrown into it, working on a game that's been in the making for so long? Well, we're just a few months away from the release of Starfield, and Todd Howard himself said he always wanted to make Starfield, but the technology just couldn't keep up with his ambition back in the day. Ironically then, Chris Roberts should have done the same with Star Citizen, letting the idea nurture in his mind 10 more years, allowing tech to catch up with that ambition. Things have changed now, dear Chris lad, and let me be clear, even though Starfield has been in the works for 25 years, that ain't the same as saying it's been in development for 25 years. People seem to think that they were working on some game engines, assets packs, programming way back in 1998. In fairness to Star Citizen, over the years, their development has also seen them grow as a company. They had to hire staff, move offices, build entire workforces to deliver on their goals. But whilst all that was happening, time time, it just kept ticking away, and games like Starfield started taking a big chunk out of Star Citizen's Wonder Pie, very much like Madonna's Wonder Pie. What used to amaze us back then might not amaze us anymore. I couldn't say that last one without having a little giggle there. Now, ships are an important part of any space game, and while I got to admit that nothing could touch Star Citizen ships in terms of their beauty, complexity, and all that simulation stuff, Starfield has come along and offered players something different. They got modular ships, ships you can design yourself, ships that you can play around with and make nonsensical shapes. Now, personally, I ain't a fan of the look of Starfield ships. They all look a bit too industrial and blocky for my liking. But I'll tell you this, them modders out there, they'll fix it up proper. They'll come up with some gorgeous looking ships, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bethesda themselves release some sort of DLC for us to get our mitts on. Star Citizen used to be all about ships, where no other game could come close. Elite Dangerous was left in its dust. But Starfield comes along and offers just as much in a different way. It's taken away some of Star Citizen's shine. Now, of course, Star Citizen's got some things in terms of flight systems that Starfield ain't got, like the atmospheric re-entry. Todd Howard reckons players don't want that, but I personally disagree. Although, I gotta say, sometimes Star Citizen's entry can slow the game down a bit, and maybe that's what Todd Howard was getting at. What's the value in having a game mechanic like that if you got to do it all the bloody time? No Man's Sky now, that has the best of both worlds, I guess, both being quick and seamless. But do Reggie a solid and check out Obsidian Ant's channel, where he talks about the seamless landing controversy in Starfield. I reckon he does a better job of explaining it than I do, but I'll chuck the link in the video description for you lovely people. When it comes to planetary tech, we all know that Starfield's got a whopping 1,000 planets to discover, but there's still some questions left unanswered, like can you actually explore the whole bloody planet or just bits of it? And let's face it, most of these planets are gonna be barren, which ain't a problem for me because it's realistic, innit? But will it give you that sense of isolation, that feeling of travelling long distances and landing on some random planet like you can in Elite Dangerous, which does it, I have to say, very, very well. Now, Star Citizen's planets, on the other hand, are far more complex, with cities, caves, and now even rivers making their way into the sim. But here's the thing, modders are gonna be the secret weapon for Starfield. I did a video on this, and they'll start popping out outposts before you can say, beam me up Scotty. And in a few years, I wouldn't be surprised if we see whole cities popping up. The scope for Starfield is massive, even if Star Citizen's got a bit of an edge right now. But let's not forget, over 10 years, Star Citizen is still stuck in the bloody Stanton system, with the promise of jumping into a new system feeling now light years away. Now, what really caught my eye in the Starfield reveal was how each system's got a real world cycle, with planets orbiting the right way and the light from stars actually impacting the lighting on individual planets and objects based on its actual location and atmosphere of said planet. It's a massive undertaking, creating some rather beautiful vistas. If we'd seen that in a Star Citizen trailer 5 years ago, we'd all be parading our way over to CitizenCon, wanking each other off and creating posts hourly about it. But times change, and so do our expectations. Now we look at it a brief moment in a 45-minute reveal and say, yeah, that's pretty cool, what else you got for me? More so, this bloody persistent universe that everyone bangs on about in Star Citizen, yes, it's very cool. As a technical showcase, I am impressed that objects can exist in every single location, no matter where you are on a planet or indeed in space. It's a truly incredible technical feat when you consider its scale. But Digital Foundry did a wonderful analysis on this very thing in Starfield. In the analysis, the Digital Foundry lads talk about how Starfield has programmed the items, and in this footage, the sandwiches, and how it can track its physicality in the entire game universe over 1,000 planets. This is what I'm saying about the tech versus the experience players have. If the end result is the same, does it really matter how you get there? In that sense, the persistent universe, whilst amazing, just doesn't blow me away like it used to, now that I see Starfield doing a stripped down version of it, and it's coming out in 2 bloody months. So one area where the games differ, and why I take issue with Star Citizen, is around its priorities. Now, don't get me wrong, the folks working on Star Citizen, they're talented, no doubt about it. They're trying to achieve right full-on Jeremy scale epicness, something that's got the weight of the world on their shoulders, and I commend them for that. But here's where the problem lies, lads. It's the project managers, the finance guys, whoever's calling the shots on where resources are allocated. It's all over the bloody place. In my video last year, I called out the whole deformable bedsheet situation and how it was a demonstration of where this project has gone. The Star Citizen fans were quick to tell me that I don't understand programming and it's not as simple as adding these features after the engine's complete. And you know what? I agree with you. I agree with you entirely. But look at this fancy trailer we're watching right this moment in time. Do you know how much money goes into something like this? The polish, the rendering, the creative direction, the marketing, and the salary costs to make sure that the trailer tells us a story to get us wet in our pants. Let me remind you of this. Star Citizen, it dies tomorrow without its backers. Once the money dries up, so does the project. And these trailers, they're like the rocket fuel keeping things going. And here's my gripe. These resources show the game as something that it currently is not. It's all smoke and mirrors, my friends. That's why the whole deformable bedsheet thing bothers me. Am I saying they should scrap it? Nah. Not at all, mate. Do I understand it's a tech demo to show how fabric moves and all that jazz? Yeah, of course I do. But do I think they should dedicate personnel to it in this very moment in time? Absolutely bloody not. Not when there are far more important things to be working on, like actual content, for example. Now let's talk about the stories of Star Citizen and Starfield. We're going to focus on Squadron 42, the single player part of Star Citizen. Now CIG always said they wouldn't release it until the main sim is done, and they'll throw that argument right back at you when you challenge them. And let's be clear, us backers put our money down hoping it would help develop this promise, hoping that one day we could actually play it. The last trailer for Squadron 42 was almost 5 years ago. Since then, we got the occasional email update as backers, but nothing to actually show for it. Now, compare that to Starfield. It's got a story, a living, breathing world where you can then be a pirate, a hero, an explorer. It's got all these things, and as a space adventurer, Starfield is going to blow Star Citizen out the bloody water on content, and that's because, frankly, Squadron 42 only exists as a trailer. Star Citizen relied on the goodwill of its fans, but even the most loyal supporters must be wondering if it's stuck in Joseph Fritzl's basement, never seeing the light of day. That's why the priorities, the leadership, the project management of Star Citizen are holding it back. And now you see games like Spaceborne 2, No Man's Sky, and now Starfield taking a chunk out of Star Citizen's carefully cultivated space. You have to say that CIG has a lot more questions right now than it has answers for. And look, Reggie here could keep going on and on about this, but the truth is, if I do, those whinging content creators will just stream a reaction video to my hard work and give their 2 cents without putting in the same creative effort. Yeah, I'm a bitter and I don't want this to come across as just talking shit about Star Citizen, but as a backer, I reckon we have every right to question where our hard-earned money is going. If I sound like I need a little bit of cheese to go with my wine, that's because I'm frustrated with the whole fiasco. And I know I'm not alone. The development is dragging on too slow. The priorities are all over the bloody place. And those supposed killer features like ships and planetary tech just don't excite me like they used to. And that's all thanks to Starfield and how time and tech has caught up with CIG. Now let me make it clear, I ain't some Starfield fanboy. When I do my review, I'll be as harsh a critic as I am with any other game. I'm wary because I know how Bethesda can f things up, and I'm half expecting a shit show come September 6th. But I can't deny that after watching the reveal, there's enough there to get me wetter than an otter's pocket. Because at its core, Starfield offers a space exploration game packed with life, story and planets, and it treads on some of the core features of Star Citizen, which, if we are honest, feels like a tech demo right now. Now play nice in the comments, and until next time, my lovelies, Reggie out.